Have you ever looked at a piece of art and just felt something? Like it hits you in a way that you can't even explain. And then on the flip side, you see a technically perfect, beautifully rendered image and feel nothing. Something's just missing. Like a lot of artists, I used to be obsessed with making things look as polished as possible. Perfect lighting, flawless composition, the bestest of rendering, well, the bestest of my ability. I thought that was the goal. But here's the thing. People don't just remember art because it looks nice. They remember it because it communicates to them, because it makes them feel something and leaves a lasting impression. So what is the key to all of this? How do you draw in the viewer and make them care about what they're looking at? What is the secret that will make you a better artist? Storytelling. Hey, I'm Alex, a director and VFX generalist, and welcome to Monstro Labs. This channel is all about the intersection of technology and storytelling. Through sharing small projects and deep dives, we explore filmmaking, game development, and world building in this new frontier of digital creation. So what's really happening here? Why does one thing feel powerful while another, no matter how technically impressive, falls flat? It all comes down to this innately human need to tell and consume stories. It's something woven into the fabric of our culture, our history, our very nature. Storytelling is what makes us human. And in this case, I don't mean writing scripts or dialogue, I mean visual storytelling, the way we use techniques like composition, lighting, and movement to create meaning. As humans, we're constantly building stories about the world around us. It's how we make sense of reality. Our brains are literally wired for it. Will Storr states in his book, The Science of Storytelling, there's simply no way to understand the human world without stories. You can find them in the newspaper articles you read, the conversations you have with others, and even in the art you create. To Storr, change is fundamental to the way humans respond to stories. As we grow, we're continually experiencing new things and need new ways to understand them better. As a result, we don't just see images, we interpret them. We connect them to the emotions, memories, and experiences in our own lives. And yet, aspiring artists often have this strange fixation on how things look. They get so mired in the technical nature of making their art that they forget about what they're actually trying to say. Flow is a great example of a movie that didn't chase the flashiest tech. This film won an Academy Award. It was made in Blender, an open source 3D program. You all know what Blender is. What's crazy is the studio used Blender's real-time render engine, Eevee, to develop its unique visual look. Now, there are plenty of better render engines out there that can create far more realistic images, but that wasn't important to them. Their decision to use this particular tool is a reminder that what you want to say is just as important as how you present it. Because whether you realize it or not, your work is always saying something. The question is, are you in control of what it's saying? You can spend hours perfecting the craft, the textures, the colors, and the effects. But if there's no underlying story, the audience has nothing to connect with. I often feel this way when I'm looking at AI-generated art. AI doesn't have experiences, it doesn't struggle, it doesn't create from a place of inspiration, it simply replicates. Now, I'm not dismissing any of the incredible machine learning tools that have emerged. They're powerful and they have their place. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't use some of them in a few areas of my work, but at the end of the day, they're just tools. Storytelling isn't just a tool. It's the foundation of every great piece of art. And once you start thinking like a storyteller, your work stops becoming just an aesthetic. It transforms into something immersive, real, and lived in. So, how do you actually think like a storyteller? How do you make storytelling an active part of the creative process instead of something that just happens by accident? The key is to think of your art as more than just an image, a shot, a 3D model. It's an important moment inside a larger story. Every great story begins with a feeling. Instead of asking, how do I make this more realistic, or how do I make this better? Start with questions like, what do I want people to feel when they see this? Is this moment about tension, awe, loneliness, hope? What's the emotional core behind this piece? One thing I personally like to do is put on music that matches the mood of what I want to create. Then I close my eyes and just imagine, not the details, not the composition, but the feeling of that moment. If you start with emotion, you're already telling a story before you've actually done any of the work. A single image can suggest an entire world or even insight into a character's history. Before you sit down and create that image, ask yourself a couple of questions. What happened right before this moment? What's about to happen next? And how can I communicate this without spelling it out? The goal here is to tap into the viewer's imagination through the power of suggestion. This is what makes an image engaging. It's not just something to look at, it's something to wonder about. Every decision you make, where you place the subject, how you light them, what colors you use, is shaping the story whether you realize it or not. Ask yourself things like, does this composition create tension or harmony? Does the lighting reveal, conceal, add mystery? How do the colors influence the mood? Do they feel warm and inviting or cold and distant? Everything in your frame is saying something. The question is, are you intending the message or is it happening by accident? And most importantly, does it make sense? Storytelling isn't just something you think about, it's something you practice. The more you actively look for ways to build story into your work, the better you'll get. Break down some of your favorite shots, paintings, or moments in a video game. Ask why they feel powerful to you. Challenge yourself to tell a story in one image. No dialogue, no captions, just visuals. Iterate and refine. Ask, can I push the story further? Over time, you won't have to think about adding storytelling to your work. It will become an unconscious part of the creative process. When you start thinking like a storyteller, you're not just creating art. You're creating experiences that stay with people. But to get good at storytelling, you have to treat it like exercising. I'm curious about your own approaches to this topic. How do you bring narrative into your art? Do you start with an emotion, a character, or a world? Or does the story reveal itself as you create? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your process. Also, make sure to subscribe. We're going to keep diving into filmmaking, game development, and world building, so if you're looking to take your creative work further, you're in the right place. Thanks for watching, and keep creating.